Hello all, welcome to another lesson, another day, not another lesson, another day. So we will be completing yesterday's lesson, which we started. That was chapter 9, lesson 2. I hope you understood the lesson. It's not a difficult one, but it's a new lesson for you. So I hope you understood the part which we learned yesterday. And I told you to do 2 questions as homework. And hopefully most of you have done that. So let's see the answers. First, let's discuss the answers and then let's go on to the next part of the lesson. Okay, so this was this was the homework for you. You just had to complete the 2 tables. So the equation was y is equal to x minus 7. I had told you in place of the x, replace the x with the values which they have given, the input values. Always the input is going to be x and output is going to be y. Okay, so all what you needed to do is just replace the value of x in the equation. So here the value of x was 10. So to find out the first one, you have to write y is equal to 10 minus 7. So that's going to be 10 minus 7 is equal to 3, right? So sorry, 10 minus 7, which is equal to 3. Why did I write 37? Okay. 10 minus, it's not responding. I don't know why. Okay, so that's how you have got the answer. 10 minus 7 equals 3. So in place, the next one, in place of the x, you have to replace the x with 15. So 15 minus 7 is going to give you 8. So if you've got 8 as the answer, your answer is correct. And the other one is 10 minus, in place of the x, that was y is equal to x minus 7. So you had to write 20 minus 7, which will give you a 13. So if you have got 3, 8, and 13 in your table, your answers are all right. Doesn't want to go. Okay. The next one was y is equal to 3x plus 4. So you know 3x means 3 multiplied by x, right? So all what you need to do is in place of the x, so 3 multiply x, in place of the x you needed to put the value of x. So 3 multiplied by 3 plus 4. So 3 multiplied by 3 is 9. 9 plus 4 is going to give you a 13. Again, for the value of 4, that's in place of x you will write 4. So that's going to be 3 multiplied by 4, which is 12, plus 4 will give you 16. Okay, the next one is 3 multiplied by 5, that is in place of x you will put 5. So 3 multiplied 5 is 15, plus 4 is going to give you 19. So your answers should be 13, 16, and 19. Now it's all correct. You can take a pen, a red pen, and check it by yourself. Put a tick mark, just like how I used to do. So you know that your answers are correct. And I hope you all are watching the videos from the beginning till the end, not skipping or not forwarding any, just dragging anything, because sometimes in between I just give you some clues how to do it. So only if you don't forward the video, you will understand what you have to do. So I hope these questions, all what you got is right. Okay, now let's move on to today's lesson. That's going to be the remaining part of the lesson. That's page 499, question number 3 and 4. Now in yesterday's lesson we learned how to complete the table, but here today you are going to write an equation. As you can see, write an equation for the relationship shown in the table. Then also you have to write the unknown value. If you look at the table here, you have unknown values in both of them. Okay, now first, before I start this, let me give you a small hint or a small clue. Now look at these values of x and look at the values of y. Okay, now in values, when you want to know what has happened or when you want to write an equation, all what you need to do is you have to you have to know what has happened to the x and y. From the x, how did the x become y? So unless you know the relationship between what has happened between x and y, you will not know how to write the equation. Okay, now if you look at the table in your book, the values of x and y, this is what you need to do. If the value of x is more than the value of y, again I'm repeating, if the value of x is more than or equal to, I have to change this, as in the table here, if the value of x is less than, I have written the opposite, less than y, okay, all what you need to do is either the rule is, or the equation you are going to write is going to be more add or multiply, okay. And because of that confusion in the typed one, what you have to do is, if the value of x is less than y, the equation you are going to write is going to be add or multiply, because you know the inverse operations, the opposite operations, the opposite of plus is multiply. So, not the inverse, but the like the ones which go together. So plus is multiply, either you add them or you multiply. And if the value of x is more than the value of y, then you need to subtract or you need to divide. See here also I have typed the wrong word. I don't know what was going through me when I did this. Okay, so this also has to be divide. That's because I just copy pasted the upper one. Okay, so again let's go through the first one again. If x is less than y, then you need to add or multiply in the equation. If x is more than or equal, or if x is more than y, then you need to subtract or divide in the equation. So let's see what we have to do. Now this is question number 3 from your book. If you look at it very carefully, this is the question here. This is the question. Okay, you have 8, 16, 9, 18, 10, and the number is missing, and 11 and 22. This question number 3 from your book. Okay, now first let's find out how did the 8 become 16. And now what did I tell you in the previous slide? I told you if the value of x is less than y, means it has to be either plus or multiply. So we are going to be either using plus or multiply in this table. So first let's find out how did this 8 become 16. Now we know that 8 plus 8 will give us 16, right? What will be 9 plus what will give you 18? 9 plus 9 gives you 18, okay? What about now? Here we don't know what number is there, so we will move on to the next number, which is 11 and 22. How did the 11 become 22? 11 plus 11 is 22. Now if you look at this table, the first one is plus 8, then plus 9, then plus 11. Now what is the rule? There is a rule. When before we write the equation, you have to find out the rule for the table. Now this part is not given in your book, but if you write it, it's better because you'll be more clear of what you need to do. Okay, now can we write the equation as plus 8, plus 9, plus 11? No, for this lesson, your equations, the rule should be the same. Means you are going to add only one number. Either it should be plus 8, or it should be plus 9, or it should be plus 11. It cannot be all in one table. Okay, so this rule, which is add 8, add 9, add 11, is wrong, because we need to have a uniform equation for this. So again, let's look at the table. Now if it's not adding, what's the next thing we have to do? It's going to be multiply. Of course it cannot be subtract, because 8 subtracted by something cannot give you 16. So if it is not plus, you go to multiply. Check. 8 multiplied by what gives you 16? 8 multiplied by what gives you 16? 2. 8 multiplied by 2 gives you 16. Okay, now move on to the next one. 9 and 18. 9 multiplied by what gives you 18? 2, right? 9 multiplied by 2 is 18. Now we cannot do the 10 because the number missing is here, so we don't know. Let's find out for 11. How did the 11 become 22 by multiplying? Is 11 multiplied by 2, just like the others. 8 multiplied 2 is 16, 9 multiplied 2 is 18. Is 11 multiplied by 2 22? Yes, it is. So 11 multiplied by 2 is also 22. So here, if you look at this table, the rule is the same for all the numbers, not like the table up. which was different, plus 8, plus 9, plus 11, but here the table is multiply by 2, multiply by 2, multiply by 2. So to find the missing number also, it has to be multiplied by 2. So what is 10 multiplied by 2 going to give you? 10 multiplied by 2 is going to give you how much? 20. So the missing number is 20. So what is the rule going to be for this table? Of course, it's going to be multiplied by 2. Now always make sure all the numbers should have the same rule. Okay, not like the one which we did up. So if it is not plus, you go to multiply. If it is not minus, you go to divide. Okay, so how are you going to write the equation, which is more important for this lesson? Of course, you have to start writing your equation by y is equal to, right? Now, y is equal to what? Y is going to be equal to x multiplied by 2. Why x multiplied by 2? Because these are the values of x, right? The values of x, that's 8, multiplied by 2 is giving us 16. The value of x, which is 9 multiplied by 2, is going to give you 18. So x multiplied by 2 is the rule or the equation. So you can also write x multiplied by 2 as 2x, because we bring the number in front and the variable behind, because you know that you can write a number and a letter together. We don't write x2, we always write 2x in equations. Or when it is with algebra, we give importance for the number first when we multiply. So it's going to be 2x. Okay, so I'm giving you a minute. Complete the table and write the equation. So then we can move on to question number 4. Okay, are you done with that? Fine. So let's move on to question number 4. Okay, so this is question number 4 from your book. So if you look at the table, here we have 10, 5, 20, 10, 30, 15, 40, and the number is missing. Now, before I started, what did we just revise? I said that if the x is more than y, then you minus or you divide. Okay, if the x is less than y, then you add or you multiply. So here in this table, x is more than y or less than y? Is x more than y or less than y? It is more, which means either we have to subtract or we have to divide. So first let's subtract and check how did this 10 become 5. Okay, so 10 minus what gives you 5? 10 minus what gives you 5? 5. 10 minus 5 gives you 5. Same way, let's check if the same rule, that's minus 5, will be useful for the other numbers or not. Is 20 minus 5 giving you 10? Is 20 minus 5 giving you 10? Of course not. 20 minus 10 gives you 10. 20 minus 10 gives you 10. What about 30? 30 minus what gives you 15? 30 minus what gives you 15? Of course, it's 30 minus 15 gives you 15, right? Okay, what about now? The rule again is not the same for the table. First, it's minus 5, minus 10, and minus 15. So what's the rule? The rule is different. First, it's subtract 5, then it's subtract 10, then it's subtract 15. Can we take this as a rule to write our equation? When the numbers are different, can we say to take this and write it to take it to write the equation? Of course not, because we need a same number. So if it is not minus, then what's the next step? With what are you going to check? Which are the two related ones? If it's not minus, then it is divide. So let's divide and check whether the answer is going to be the same. So 10 divided by what gives you 5? Of course, 10 divided by 2 gives you 5, right? What about the next one? Move to the next one. 20 divided by what gives you 10? 20 divided by 2 gives you 10, because 2 tens are 20, 2 fives are 10, same way. Okay, 30 divided by what gives you 15? 30 divided by 2 gives you 15. So now can you see the rule is going to be the same for all? Divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2. So to find the missing number also, we are going to divide by 2. So 40 divided by 2 is going to give you how much? Think. 40 divided by 2 is going to give you? Did you get this answer? Yes, if you have got, very good. So what's the rule going to be for this table? It's going to be divide by 2. Okay, so how are you going to write this rule using equation? So always you write the equation by starting y is equal to. So y equals what? X divided by 2. That's how you are going to write the equation. So you have to write the equation, always start with y equals x divided by 2. Now this way also you can write the equation, but the proper way, the perfect way of writing an algebraic equation is like this. We use this way. Y is equal to x divided by 2 means x over 2, which is also considered as divide. So you can also write y is equal to x divided by 2 this way, or you can also say y is equal to x divided by 2 this way. Okay, girls, so all what you need to remember is just check what happened to the x and y. Is the x more than y? If it is more than y, then you have to try with subtraction. If the subtraction doesn't work, then you have to use divide. If the x is less than y, like our previous question number 3, which we did, if x is less than y, then you have to add. If the addition didn't work, then you have to multiply any one, but you will get the rule. Once you get the rule is going to be the same for all the numbers, then you can simply write the equation starting with y equals x, and what happened to the x? Is it plus, or is it minus, or is it multiply or divide? I hope that lesson was easy for you. Sorry for that. I'm giving you a minute. Just write down the answers. So we will go on to the next question. Okay, are you all done by writing the questions? Sorry, writing the answer. Don't worry, even I'm confused now just by sitting inside the house. Even I'm confused. So I hope you all have finished writing the answers. So let's move on to the next question. Your favorite questions as usual. It's going to be a problem solving question for you. Okay, so I'm going to be doing question number 5. It's a go deeper question. Okay, so let me do it with you. I will explain it and then I will give you some time, and then let's see the answer you got it correct or not. Got is correct or not. Fine. The question says the table shows the current cost of buying apps for a cell phone. Okay, so these are the costs for buying some apps for the phone. As in Google Store we do, or Apple Store we do this, right? We give money and buy. Fine. Next month, so before I go to the next month, let me tell you about this one. So to buy 3 apps, the cost is $9. To buy 4 apps, the cost is $12. To buy 5 apps, the cost is $15. Okay, by now, by the time I'm reading, you must have known what's the pattern in this. The 3 has become 9. The 4 has become 12. The 5 has become 15. It's something similar, which is like clicking in your mind. 3, 9, 4, 12, 5, 15. By now you know what it is. I'll not tell you. I'll tell you when you finish it. So the question continues. Next month, the price of each app will double. So double means if the price of one app is 2 for this month, next month it's going to be 4. If the price is $5 for this month, next month it's going to be 10, double. Okay, write an equation you can use to find the total cost Y of buying X apps next month. So you have to write an equation. Okay, so when you always remember, when you're writing an equation, you have to start by Y equals 2. So I'm giving you 2 minutes. Write the equation you can use to find the app for buying apps for next month, not for this month. The table shows for this month. So you tell me, I mean, you cannot tell me, of course. You write the equation for buying the apps for next month. So your 2 minutes starts now. Okay, so I think that was a little bit longer than 2 minutes, is it? I did not notice the time. Okay, so let's see what you have done and whether the answer you got is right. So the table shows the current cost of buying apps for a cell phone. So if you see what has happened to the 3, how did it become 9? How did the X become Y? First, that's what you have to ask. The question you have to ask is how did the X become Y? Is it by adding, or is it by subtracting? Is it by multiplying, or is it by dividing? Okay, so if you ask these 4 questions, you will immediately get the answer. So how did the 3 become 9? Either we need to add 6, right? Or we need to multiply with something. So if I add 6, that's 3 plus 6. If that gives me 3 plus 6 is 9, okay? So 3 plus 6 is going to give me 9. What about the other one? 4 plus 6, will that give me 12? Because the rule has to be the same, right? Of course not. 4 plus 6 is not going to give me 12. 4 plus 6 is going to give me 10. So if it is not plus, so this is what is going to happen here. 4 plus 8 is going to give me 12, and 5 plus, keyboard is troubling me a lot today. 5 plus 10 is going to give me 15. So the rule is not the same for all. So what are we going to do here? Of course, these are not the answers we want, right? So all what you can do is you have to find out what is the rule. So what is, if it's not plus, what is the next one going to be? Of course, it's going to be multiply. So 3 multiply, what's going to give you 9? 3. 4 multiply, what's going to give you 12? Of course, 4 multiply 3 and 5 multiply, what's going to give you 15? Of course, 3. So now the rule is same, multiply by 3, multiply by 3, multiply by 3. So first, let's write the equation for this month. Okay, so for this month, the equation is going to be y is equal to 3 multiplied by x, or it's going to be 3x. 3 multiply x is 3x, right? So for this month, it's going to be y is equal to 3x. But the question is, write an equation for the next month. So for the next month, what is it going to be? First, you have to start with y. So double means, what's the double of 3? Double of 3, what is that going to be? Double of 3 is 6. So for the next month, it's going to be 6x. So this is the correct equation, y is equal to 6x. Okay, I hope you have understood that part, that question, because it was a go deeper question. It's not going to be a direct one. You all know that by now. Okay, if you have got the correct answer, it's very well done. You can take your pen, red pen, put a tick mark and give a star for yourself. But don't copy. If you have copied the answer from me, no, you don't put the star there. Okay. Okay, now let's move on to question number 6. Let me read it for you first and then you will do it. A beach resort charges $150 per hour plus $450 to rent a bicycle. So the question says the resort charges $150 per hour. So for 1 hour, it is $150 plus $450 to rent a bicycle. This is the equation. C is equal to 150x, because x is the number of hours which we don't know, plus 450 gives the total cost C of renting a bicycle for x hours. Use numbers and words to explain how to find the cost C of renting a bicycle for 6 hours. So they want you to use numbers and words. Simply you have to find out for 6 hours, how can you find the total cost? So what's the equation given to us? It's C is equal to 150x plus 450. So use numbers and words. So words means you have to explain. So how are you going to explain this? So first, of course, we have to let's write it properly. Use the equation C equals 1.50 x plus 450 to find the total cost for 6 hours. Okay, so these are the words we can use. You can write in your own words however you want to. So here we are using the equation C is equal to 150x plus 450 to find the total cost for 6 hours. So what's the first thing you are going to do? First, what are you going to do? Replace x with, because they want the cost for 6 hours, right? So how will your equation be? The equation will be C equals 1.50 multiplied by 6. Now you can use the multiplication sign. If I use the multiplication sign here, you will get confused with x. Okay, so instead of multiplication, you know if anything is inside the brackets means it's multiply. So you can also write it this way: 150 inside the bracket x, or 150 multiplied by x plus 4.50. So we need to solve it. When you solve, it will be 150 multiplied by 6 is going to give you how much? 150 multiplied by 6. Quickly, girls, how much is that? It's going to give you 9. You can do it the correct way. You can write it and find out 1.50 multiplied by 6. If you will get 9.00. Of course, you will not take the 9.00. That's going to be a 9 plus 4.50, which is going to be C equal to $13.50. Don't forget the dollar sign. Okay, this is in my words. You can write it in your own words. You girls are very good in writing stories, I know. So you can write stories in your book, but the answer should be 13.50. You can use your own way to explain how to find the answer. That's all. So this lesson was easy, I hope so. Now, just uh, just to track how many of you are doing the lessons on daily basis, on how I put the lesson link on Edmodo. What you will do is, after you watch this video, you will go and you will like the video. You like it, unlike it, I don't mind. It's okay. Even you unlike it, it's okay for me. But just to track and to see how many of you are doing the lessons daily, you, after watching this video, you will go there and you will either like or unlike the video. It's okay for me, I don't mind, so that I know how many of you are watching the videos on daily basis. Because once you like the video, I will get the name, I will get your name. Even if you unlike the video, I will get your name. Don't worry, I will not tell anything for you. Even if you unlike the video, it's for me to know how many of you are watching the video. That's all. Okay, so after watching this video on YouTube, you will either like it or unlike it, no problem. But because I want to know how many girls are following the lessons on daily basis, or at least how many of you are watching and doing it. Yeah, those who are uploading the homework daily on Edmodo, I know those 5-6 girls are doing it daily, but the others, I have no idea what they are doing. So this is just to know how many of you are studying. Okay, so this was the end of our lesson for today. So of course you will be having homework. You will finish the remaining part of your homework. That's question 4, 5, and 6 and 7. You will have to do question 5, 4, 5, 6, 7 on page 501, and of course the next page, question 1 and 2. If you don't know, it's okay. You can like tell me that you don't know, so that in the next video when we discuss the homework, you will know it. But do try to do the homework, and don't forget whatever you have studied, because you know girls, it's going to be a very difficult one if you are going to have an exam or anything, because as these lessons all will be included and you will have to learn everything together. So don't stop even watching the videos at like every day, at least on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, it's okay, don't watch it, no problem. But as you do in the school, do study every day, especially English, math and science, else it's going to be a big burden for you. Okay, so until we meet in the next video, take care of yourselves and have a good